Think that the Gospels are clear as to where Jesus came from. Poppycock! Poppycock! Okay, I mean, seriously. What you do is and almost all Christians, in fact, do this. And what you do is you take these kind of things that occur in four different books in your Bible, and you take them and you kind of invent this narrative that is not in the Bible. So you kind of say, like, oh, he went to this one place, and then he went over to this other place, and then he went over to this other place. Even though that construct isn't actually used anywhere in the Bible, you can kind of like interpret it that way, but it doesn't say it in that way. And this is something that's very often that Christians do. And so I'm going to take some of the examples off of your own page where this video is rested, where you put a lot of the quotations from the Bible. And I'm going to go through them a little bit so we can see where it's coming from. So you say in Matthew 2:1 and 2 that Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea during the time of King Herod. Magi from the east came. Okay, so he was born in Bethlehem, clearly. But then you go and say, then he went to Nazareth, as you say in Matthew. But you go to Mark, and he says that he's from Nazareth, but doesn't mention where Bethlehem is, or Bethlehem at all. And the book of Luke goes into detail about how that Jesus was born in Bethlehem, and Joseph and Mary were from Nazareth. So the construct, however, that the Bible is like somehow consistent in its portrayal of where Jesus is from is not true. In one of the books of the Bible, it says, okay, he was born in Bethlehem and moved to Nazareth. In another book, it says he was born in Nazareth and doesn't mention Bethlehem. And then in another book, it says, okay, he was born in Bethlehem, but his parents were from Nazareth. And one of the books actually says he's from Capernaum, which you don't mention at all. Which you do not mention at all. And you don't mention, for instance, like the bizarreness with one of the Gospels saying that he was born in a manger and he was visited by shepherds. And another book, he was born in a house and he was visited by kings. Not the narrative that we kind of think of when we think of the Nativity, which is Jesus in a manger and being visited by both shepherds and magi. That doesn't happen in the Bible. Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. In one book, he is visited by shepherds, and in another book, he is visited by kings, or magi, or whatever it is you want to call them. And the construct that you have here is that this Jesus fella did all these kind of things, but it's not consistent. It's not clear. It's not clear. In one part, he is born in Bethlehem and moves to Nazareth. Another part, he is born in Bethlehem, but his parents are from Nazareth. And another one, he is born in Nazareth, and they don't mention Bethlehem. And another point, they say his hometown is Capernaum. Which is it? And when you do this kind of construction, you are doing something that is very, very postmodern, is that you're kind of drawing all these things that the Bible does not say, and you're kind of creating this fictional narrative. I mean, in the sense that the what you propose is happening in the Bible is not actually said to have occurred in the Bible. You kind of bring all these different stories together as if they were one story, when they are not. They are in 4 different books. And as a result of that, it's very hard to take seriously the notion that, you know precisely where it was that Jesus was born. And other kind of issues, by the way, is like the town of Nazareth, which is a suburb, theoretically, a suburb of a Greek city called Sepphoris. That may be a medieval invention. The definition or translation of the word Nazareth is itself questionable. I'm sure that you have heard of this if you're actually kind of into that studying the Bible deeply sort of thing, is that some people think that it's referring to a sect called the Nazarites or Nazarites. And a Nazarene refers to a member of this kind of monastic order that's following the Nazarite code of rules, kind of like the Essenes. I think the Nazarites are occasionally lumped in together with the Essenes. But the notion, however, that the Bible's clarity on where Jesus is from is not. The narratives don't necessarily flatly contradict each other, except for that part about Capernaum, which you completely ignored. And you could say, like, oh yeah, when this author said that Jesus was from Nazareth and does not mention Bethlehem, it doesn't mean that Jesus isn't from Bethlehem. You can say that, but I think it's very important to note that it doesn't mean that the stories just agree with each other. They don't agree with each other. And I think that it's also very important to bear in mind that the narrative that you construct simply is not in the Bible. It is something that you take out of the Bible and you create in your own mind, has become tradition, but it's not biblical.